Hi everyone! Event dungeons were recently updated, so I wanted to finally make an event dungeon guide. Event dungeons are open different days of the week, and all event dungeons are open on the weekend. You will need one event dungeon festival ticket to enter, which can be obtained from dailies, missions, and the point shop. I highly recommend completing these dungeons because they drop very useful items such as a guaranteed event dungeon festival coin, which can be forged into these items, and there is also a chance that GP item property scrolls will drop after completing any event dungeon. With that said, let's talk about each dungeon. Nightmare Circus and Monster Train 301 each drop coupons that can be used to forge the Nightmare Circus Qwerty set and the Attendance Qwerty set. Each set gives you a 10% EXP boost, so this is a very good set to equip when farming EXP. You can also get premium transmutation scrolls and the Dually and Ringmaster pets from Nightmare Circus. Monster Train 301 can also drop premium transmutation scrolls, reinforcement protection scrolls, and KC bones. Both dungeons are very straightforward, but Nightmare Circus has two gimmicks. Completing the first two rooms will give you a random buff, and the lights will go out during the second phase of the boss fight. While the lights are out, Ringmaster takes less damage, so always make sure to attack the light switch to turn the lights on. The best way to get hero bullions quickly is to run Angry Boss. You can earn at least 33 bullions each run, and this room always drops reinforcement release scrolls. Angry Boss is a boss rush that ends with a quick meeting with Dual, who drops either Eclipse or Transcendence. These are decent accessories on their own, and they can be forged into the relic grade Eclipse and Transcendence accessory. The only real tips I have for this dungeon are to run with the full party if you can, and keep in mind that the bosses on the top route are a lot more difficult. If you want to get the plus 17 weapon effect, King Slime's Land is the best place to go. This dungeon drops reinforcement protection scrolls, reinforcement blessing scrolls, and level reinforcement scrolls. After each run, you will get between 1 and 5 Golden King Slimes Jelly. You seem to get more slimes if you have a full party that can finish the dungeon quickly. These can be used to forge several items, with the best being the King Slime Head Chest, which gives you one of these 3 hats. This is a single room dungeon with 3 boss phases. Something to keep in mind is that the boss moves around a lot, so I recommend using full room skills or waiting until he uses Slime Bomb or Slime Pang to use your strongest skills. Moonlight Village is great for getting runes, darkstone, and advanced rune summon chests. This dungeon has multiple paths, but the true boss is all the way at the bottom. There are also several gimmicks here. One-eyed goblins explode into 2 smaller one-eyed goblins when you kill them, bedeviled boxes have auras that buff monsters, and the bosses can be difficult to kill because Phase 1 recovers HP very quickly, and Phase 2 cannot be attacked at certain points. I would recommend using a character with a powerful one-hit skill like Alessis to quickly beat these bosses before they can heal or avoid your attacks. KOGB is the main reason to farm Talin's Revenge. The pet can either drop from the dungeon if you're super lucky, or you can create it in the forge by first creating each of its 3 parts and forging them together. The individual parts are created using the Type 1 through Type 6 materials that drop at the end of the dungeon. Be prepared to do this dungeon a lot because Type 1 is a very rare drop. Sometimes Choco Brick bars will also drop, and these increase the reinforcement rate for necklaces and anklets. One last thing that can drop from this dungeon is the +9 Epic Reinforcement Stone box, so keep an eye out for those too. This dungeon is relatively easy once you memorize the monster spawn pattern, and I really recommend playing with another person who can help clear enemies more quickly. Some things to keep in mind include you can switch forms by pressing space, the special attack clears everything on the screen and gives 5 seconds of invincibility, respawning gives you 3 more special attacks, and don't be afraid to die in this dungeon because mini bosses drop extra lives. Finally, we have Hungry Pets Revolt, which is a little more complex, but you can get some amazing items here. The gold coins that are dropped from this dungeon can be used to craft a bunch of great things like Perthos Anklet, which is the best free-to-play anklet, and the pet card chest, which gives you a pet that shows up in the dungeon. You can also get Perthos as a drop if you're really lucky. Or you can get any of these pets from the Cerdan's Gratitude gift box. Now, let's go over the mechanics and some tips, and please bear with me because this dungeon has a lot going on. There are 3 stacks of food on the map, and the goal is to protect the food for 3 minutes. The more food that is left at the end, the more gold coins will drop, with a maximum of 14 possible. The very first thing I do when I start is press B to zoom out the map. Pets spawn from these locations, and a bell will start ringing at these times, which means a boss will spawn in 5 seconds. Always make sure one person is near the center of the map to kill the boss as soon as possible. Starting at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Madeline will spawn every 10 seconds at the bottom center, and she will drop an item if you free her. You can use these items by pressing N, and you can select a different item by pressing X if you have more than one item. I try to use the freeze item when I notice a piece of food has been stolen, and I like to aim the cannons at the piles of food because the flames they leave behind stagger enemies. The debuff reset item is very useful if you get hit by Dooley's silence, so keep that one for later. I really recommend running this dungeon with at least 3 people. Each person should be responsible for 1 stack of food, and you should try to use characters with large AoE abilities. You should also have 1 person focus on using Madeline's items, so the rest of the party can stay close to their food. If you want a really easy run, I recommend having at least 2 first job Maris with homing missile. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, please leave any questions you have or any additional tips in the comments below. Again, I highly recommend doing event dungeons because you get some amazing items that are very useful, and you can get some pretty cool pets. If you want to see extended gameplay for each event dungeon, please check out the playlist in the description. That's all for now, bye!